Peace and blessing, family. It's your man Maarifa, and welcome to Bible study. That's right. It's Sunday, so you know what that means. We reading the scriptures. We reading the scriptures straight out the Bible. You know what I'm saying? We coming to you every Sunday with the deeper esoteric meaning of the scriptures so you can understand exactly what you claim to believe in. All right. So I got this question. Somebody asked me, hey, are you a pastor? No, not really. All right. I've evolved from Christianity, but I did 23 years in Christianity, okay? So I've done everything in the church except be a pastor. You know, I've been a Sunday school teacher, usher. I was a gospel rapper, you know what I'm saying? I taught Sunday school. I was sang in the choir. You know, I was evangelizing on the street corners. I was doing it all. The only thing I haven't done in the church was preach, be a preacher, all right? So I have, a background, extensive background in Christianity where I've done years, you know what I'm saying, of research and knowledge, and read this Bible 3 straight times, word for word in my life. I've actually gone and taken theological courses at a Baptist university, which I graduated from. So I'm well, knowledge based on Christianity. So that's my resume. All right. So with that said, some people ask me, well, what qualifies you to, teach and stuff on the Bible? Well, a lot of that experience and that knowledge base and that history and actually being a part of that religion for a long period of my life. All right. So with that being said, man, look, we here. We here Sunday, like we always do at this time. We coming straight from the King James Version. We're going to get into reading chapter 7. So we're on chapter 7 of Genesis, and we're going to move on. So without further ado, let's get started. All right. Chapter 7 of Genesis, starting at verse 1. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. All right, so what you're seeing here, if the significance of the numbers, 7 and 2, right? So 7 unclean beasts, or 7, it says the male and females of the beasts that are not clean, and then 2 that are clean. So in this essence, the biblical aspect of it is they're saying the unclean beasts are the ones, that can go and repopulate the earth. And you can start over with them, right? But the clean ones, we're going to sacrifice, right? So that's the biblical aspect of it. Now, the deeper esoteric meaning of the numbers 7 and 2 of numerology, and you're looking at it from the perspective of esoteric understanding, the number 2 symbolizes companionship, male, female, duality, partners. So that's the number 2, right? The number 7, the way they have it symbolized here, they're trying to say it's the term of completion, but it's not. Remember when I told you the Greeks and the Romans, they changed the whole concept of everything. And when they put their version in the story, this was written by a Masonic author, Francis Bacon, and he put in the Bible codes in which he can speak directly to his Masonic brothers. All right. So the only person or people who would understand those deeper esoteric, meanings of the scripture would be the Masons. So there was code encoded inside the book in the Bible. So when a Mason reads it, they have a deeper or different understanding than the layman, the average person who will come and read this scripture. So the number 7 signifies, wisdom, knowledge, seeking knowledge of self, understanding, so the intuition of knowing, that's what the number 7 represents. Now, when you add these two numbers up, you get 9. 9 is the universal number for completeness, completion. 9 is the number that is within every number from 0 to 9. All right. So if you use 9, you can do the math and multiply it or divide it or add it or whatever. It's going to come right back to 9 every single time. So that's the universal number of completion. All right. So if you understand that, and you're looking at this where in verse 2, God is telling Noah, you shall take to thee by sevens the male and female, and the beast of that are clean, but two, the male and his female. So they're telling you there's going to be a new beginning and a new end, and you have to have companions. All right. You have to have companions of duality, the opposite sex, male and female. Remember, I told you cannot procreate without having the opposites. All right. So male and female. So then you have the knowledge and understanding of the beginning that's going to occur once they go into this ark or this boat. You know what I'm saying? So there is a new beginning that is established, and there's an ending that is occurring. So God is starting, the author rather, of this book has this God starting the end of one generation or segment of history and going into another. Okay, so what's being established here is something that is deeper than what you see on the surface of the scripture. So in real history, we're talking about the author and the characters in the book. Now they're going to start establishing the racial aspect of the characters and the new aspect of how life has started out. So initially from chapters 1 through 6, they had one set of creation that occurred. And then now you come into chapter 7, there is a whole new chapter, a new set of, people that are coming on to will be established in the world, along with new animals. Because in the beginning, God created the man and the woman, male and female, created he them. You know what I'm saying? Created he him, or created he them. Remember that? Chapter 1, verse 27. Then he created Adam from the dust of the ground. All of that stuff. So here, the author is changing and shifting the narrative. All right? To give you an understanding of how true history had evolved. Okay? So in the beginning was Africans, melanated beings, all on the planet Earth, living in Africa. And they had plenty abundance. Everything was growing. That's the Garden of Eden. Everything was plentiful. Trees, fruits, animals were all over the place. You know what I'm saying? In abundance. Then you had the albino come on the scene, Adam and Eve. So it's symbolically telling you that they were different. When they ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, their eyes were open. They were aware that they were different than every other African, and they didn't belong in Africa. So then God put them out of the garden, if you remember the story. So we're going through a narrative of it. So God put them out of the Garden of Eden, which was in Africa, and moved them away, the east of Eden, which was in Mesopotamia area, which they call, Iraq, which is modern day Iraq and Kuwait. All right. So when you're looking at the deeper esoteric and you're understanding true history and what really happened, so the author of this book is trying to explain something to the reader. It's trying to imply that a shift occurred, okay? And they're using this flood as a means to show you what the shift was. And the shift wasn't a flood per se. The flood is just symbology. It's a metaphor, okay? So it's a metaphor for change, all right? And how that change impacted the globe, not some, flood of water that actually engulfed the whole world, but a change that occurred that engulfed the whole world, that included the whole world. So in this story, chapter 7, verse 2, this God, written by Francis Bacon, is depicting that there is going to be a shift from African rulership to white European rulership. Okay? And they're going to be establishing these characters that you're going to see. And there's going to be a distinction between the three brothers. All right? Shem, Ham, and Japheth from Noah, the sons of Noah, who are on this boat. All right? So as we read, we're going to go deeper into it. So let's go forward. Verse 3. Of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and his female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. Again, this God is a murderer, destroying everything off the face of the earth. So what the author is telling you is, this is the mindset. This was the plan of the white European. When they were going out to conquer lands, they were going to utterly destroy everything and everyone in their path. So this is the mindset, and they're telling you that this God is giving a credence or setting a precedence of, destroying everything and starting over with a new race of people and a new, set of animals and a new set of everything. So there's an ending and the beginning. Okay. So the symbology with the numbers, you need 2 pairings and make the male and female. You need to procreate and start over. Okay. Then you have 7. The 7 is the knowledge of self, the knowledge and understanding, your intuition and understanding what it is that you're going into, yourself, who you are as an individual, seeking that knowledge. That's the number 7 in numerology. And when you add those 2 together, it gives you completion. It is now the end of something and the beginning of another. Putting those 2 together, it becomes completion. All right. So the table is being set. All right. The table is being set for the shifting of the story. The story is going to now start shifting from Africans, being the very first original beings on the planet, the melanated beings who ruled, dynastic periods through Egypt. You know what I'm saying? All the way from Ethiopia, Uganda, the Mountain of the Moons, and going out into vast lands of Europe and Asia in those regions and rulership and everything like that, to now establishing the conquest of the white European. Okay, so you got to understand the true history and what happened and how it relates to this story and what is being told on, a deeper meaning to the Mason. Instead of the layman understanding, the layman just sees, okay, fowls of the air, 7s of males and males of females to keep seed alive. They're going to read it literally. Okay, but the Mason is going to read it esoterically. They're going to understand the deeper meaning and the symbology and the metaphors that are being established in this book, in this story. So this is what I'm showing you, teaching you. We're reading it straight out of this book, all right, to understand, okay? So it's not a literal flood that floods the water. It is symbolic of change, shifting that's occurring, a catastrophic event that's going to change the course of the world. Okay. And that is the introduction of the white European onto the scene. Adam and Eve was kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They were removed. They had other, children. Seth came on board. Then they had, Cain. He was put out. God protected him and put a mark on him. God clothed Adam and Eve with, skin and things of that nature, which was the ones with no melanin in it, and then took them out. You know what I'm saying? So all of these symbologies that were occurring, now the author is trying to let you know that the conquest is coming. The conquest is coming. Those who were in the beginning, the white Europeans were in the beginning were, the original ones. They were just, wanderers trying to figure things out and along their way. And then God said they're evil and wicked and all of this stuff and going to destroy them. So that is technically saying they were not good enough. They were not good enough, for the white European to be able to conquer and to control the world and to take over and, saying like that. But now the author is going to shift it, because there is domination that's coming. There is, conquest that is coming, and he's preparing the table now in the story now, establishing those lineages, all right, for those, Europeans who came out of the Caucasus Mountains and also the Georgia Mountains near Kazakhstan and Russia came down into India and, started mixing in and raping and pillaging and killing and stuff at the Africans in India and changing those people into the Persians. But we're going to get further into that a little bit later. But right here, we're going to go forward. Verse 4. All right. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. They're trying to make it seem like 7 is the number of completion. No, it's not. 7 is the number of knowledge and understanding of oneself. Okay. They corrupted it. They changed the number numerology. Everyone understood that 7 was about, knowledge of self and understanding, coming to know who you are and this, that, and the third, seeking those knowledges and trying to gain wisdom. Everyone understood that. All the Africans did, but now here's the Greeks and the Romans changing the meaning of the numbers, which will confuse you and throw you off. They try to make it seem like 7 days is a number of completion. All right. No, 9. The number 9 is the numerological number of completion of the universe. Okay. It's the universal number. Verse 5. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. 600 years. So when he first began, he was 500 years old, right? 500 years old. So it took him 100 years to build a 400-foot ark with him and his sons, right? 100 years. Now, think about it. The average person on earth today doesn't even live, that long, all right? 100 years is, technically you doing good. If you survive this earth 100 years in this physical body, you doing good, right? For Noah to be able to be that old and build a boat that's 400 feet long, technically it's just like, come on, man. Realistically, that's not possible, all right? It's not possible. With all the wood they had to gather, even if he had 3 sons, those 4 would not be able to build that 450-foot ark, that boat, to be able to sustain all those animals, okay? And themselves, plus the food they need on. Come on, man. But anyway, common sense, right? So, verse 7, and Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons, wives with him, into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Now, companionship, twos, male and female, him and his wife, they're reestablishing something. So something is ending. The world is about to shift and they're about to change. They're ending one thing and they're going to begin another. Okay. So it's the conquest of the white European. So when the white European established themselves as conquerors on the earth, when they came into India, came down out of the Russia area, Kazakhstan and the Caucasus Mountains and all of that stuff, and they came down and invaded, they were finally strong enough to go to war and to come in and fight and all of this, that, to start. But in the beginning, when it was Adam and Eve and Seth and Lamech and all of them, they were still weak. They were just starting out. So God said, they're still evil and wicked and this, that, and the third. So that was the excuse to kill them off, to let them know, hey, they're not good enough. They're not good enough to conquer and conquest and rule the world the way we want to. So now that we're strong enough, we can come in to these lands, take these lands from these Africans, kill them off, and destroy everything that they have. And we're starting a new, dynastic period. We're starting a new dynasty that's coming on. So this is what they're trying to depict in this story. All right. So the ones that was chosen was Noah and his family, right? So this is just a character, the white European who was chosen was Noah and his family to reestablish everything, right? The whole earth, allegedly, right? All right, so verse 8, of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, of fowls and everything that creepeth upon the earth, there went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God has commanded Noah, duality. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. Again, trying to establish that 7, the number 7 is a number of completion when it's not. They're changing the meaning of the numerology. Okay? In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. So now we got windows in heaven. Heaven is a place like right on earth. It's no different. What is different about heaven? If heaven has windows, we got windows right here on earth. Why do we need? And then also windows at this time. This is supposed to be allegedly the very beginning of time. How would he get the establishment of the word windows? Windows wasn't, I don't even know what year they started using the word or the term windows, for like something like this. You know what I'm saying? When did they start using it? Obviously it wasn't at the very beginning of time. So where did the author of this book, like I told you, this book was written in 1611 AD. All right, 1611 AD by Francis Bacon, the white European French Masonic, author who wrote also Shakespeare. Okay, he was the hidden pen of Shakespeare. Some people like to, if you Google that, Francis Bacon, Shakespeare, he's the author. Shakespeare was like his ghost name or something like that. You know what I'm saying? If he was a ghost writer. You know how rappers have ghost writers and stuff? They don't, give the credit to the person who actually wrote the rhyme. Dr. Dre do it all the time. He got ghost writers for all his songs. He don't write nothing original for himself. DOC did his stuff. Ice Cube wrote for Dre. You know what I'm saying? Everybody write for Dre. Eminem wrote for Dre. So it's the same thing. Francis Bacon is the author of Shakespeare as well as the Bible. At least the first 5 books. They call it the Torah. You know what I'm saying? So he's the author of this version, this King James Version, which is written in English for the English. Francis Bacon, who was commissioned by King James to write him a Bible, which they got it from the Codex Sinaiticus, which is written in Greek. Then they translated it into the Latin Vulgate, which was in Latin for Romans, during the Pope's era and all of that stuff when they was establishing the Catholic Church. All right. And then they converted it to the English version, which is the King James Version, which is written in English for England. All right. So every one of them conquerors, the Greeks, the Romans, and the British English, those conquering countries wrote their own Bibles. All right. The Bible was used, like I mentioned before, it was designed to control the minds of the masses so that the armies would not have to sustain long enough. The Greeks and the Romans and the British, they couldn't sustain an army long enough to continue to control the masses. The masses would uprise and, fight against the powers that be. And the armies were not strong enough to sustain long enough to maintain order and, to maintain control of the masses. So they had to come up with something psychologically to be able to get the masses to submit and be timid and afraid of the powers that be. Because the powers that be don't outnumber the people. The people outnumber the powers that be. Think about it. If you're in prison, there are more prisoners than there are guards. There's only so many guns the guards have. I don't understand why prisoners don't all come together and fight against the guards in order to escape. It makes sense for you. You have more numbers. Now, everybody won't survive, obviously, but for the most part, the majority will get out if they all decided to come together. But guess what? They keep them divided. So in prison, there's division with gangs, race, all that, all type of goofy stuff that will keep them from joining together and uniting. That's what this Bible is for. The Bible is to keep you from uniting and fighting against the powers that be and rising up, against them and rebelling. Revolution. They don't want that. So they got to have something psychologically to control you. So they continue with the program. Hellenization. Continue to indoctrinate, the babies growing up into this world. And then once the babies adopted the religion, then they take it and spread it onto the next generation and the generation before them and after them. The babies will take it and they will actually believe in their minds because that's all they know. When they come into this world, somebody tell you that you're a Christian, they hand you this book, that's all you know. You don't know no different. You don't know no better. You don't know the history. That's all you know is this book. So now all of a sudden it's inbred in your heart because everyone else around you, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, everybody you go to school with, everybody, cousins, everybody you talk to, everybody you run into, all believe the exact same way with this book. All y'all believe the same way. So you don't want to be left out. You don't want to, look, opposed to thinking the exact same way. It's called group think. In psychologically, in psychology class, when I took psychology, there's a term or a process they have called group think. Group think. Everybody thinks the same, believes the same, and anybody that opposes that or thinks different, the group will attack. The group will attack that individual. They will shun them, exclude them, and kick them out. Don't talk to them anymore. All type of stuff. So group think. They think the same way. They call them sheep. Okay, so that's what the powers that be wanted. The kings and queens of England. The Roman popes, the Catholic Church. The Greek rulership, Alexander. So all of that stuff, they wanted to control the minds of the masses. So you're thinking about it. Look back on it. Even today, we're still being symbolically, indoctrinated. American Express card have Romans on it. Who is that? Caesar's Palace. You go to Vegas. There's Caesar. We still paying homage to Caesar. Over it's just crazy. It's a lot of different stuff, but people don't see it. They just overlook it. All right. So anyway, verse 11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the seventh day, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the self same day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. So now this is the last and final family that's entering into the ark. This is it. So we got the pairings. We got Noah, his wife, his sons, his 3 sons, and their wives. And then every animal is supposed to be male and female, right? Pairing, the number of 2. There's companionship. In verse 14, they and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. All right, so thinking about this, every animal of all their kind, and this, that, and the third. How did the sloth get to this ark? The sloth is like the slowest animal of all time. I mean, have you ever seen a sloth move? It's like 1 inch per. A sloth moves at 1 inch. I mean, the slowest. So by the time a sloth is born in South America, where they're indigenous, they would have had to have started walking all the way to Iran, by Mount Ararat in, the Mesopotamia area, which is Syria, or Assyria, they called it back then. Sumeria, which is really the original term for the area, because the Sumerian Africans were there first. But they would have to start walking. And then how did they cross the seas? Okay, coming from South America. How did the sloth cross the sea? How did the polar bear cross the seas coming from the Arctic, regions in Alaska and stuff? How did the polar bear get to? I mean, like, come on, man. If you got to think about this stuff. Anyway. All right. And they went into the ark, unto the ark, two and two, and all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh. Okay, again, duality. As God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. So God closed the door, right? God closed the door of the ark, of the boat, right? And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark. And it was lifted up above the earth, right? And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth. And the ark went upon the face of the waters. Now, symbolically, what you're talking about, this ark is, and what it represents this God. All right, this ark went above the earth. All right. So you're talking about having this God that is established in this story as being the supreme being of this, earth that causes domination. All right. So later on, when we get into the children of Israel and all this, that, and the third, we're going to see how the ark has played a role in part of this. So it's connected right here. So when you're starting the ark, and it's saying symbolically that it rose above the earth. So everything is coming up. It was lifted up. So symbolically, what does it represent? It represents a nation, a people. All right. It represents a God that is affiliated with those people. OK, this God will give authority, to these people that are inside the ark. Noah, his wife, his sons and their wives and all the animals, given authority unto them to be able to be the first ones to restart everything. All right, to restart everything. And the shift and the change of the culture will go. It will start. It will begin. It's not above the water. It's not about physical water. It's not really what the reference is. That's what you see on the surface when you read the Bible literally. You'll see just the waters on the surface. But the deeper understanding is the rising of a nation, a generation of new people that are coming over to conquer into this world, and they're establishing that these are the very beginning of those people. Okay, Noah, his sons, three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. These are the beginnings of these three people. All right, on this planet. Now, going to verse 19. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. 15 cubits, that's it. So that's only like 15 cubits in feet. I would say 20 feet. 20 feet, I think it is the number. Yeah, 20 feet is, 15 cubits is about 20 feet. So the size or the length of a light pole that you see like on the neighborhood or something like that on a block, a light pole is no more than 9 to 12, feet high. So we're looking at 20 feet high. So just a little bit higher than a light pole is allegedly how much the waters have prevailed over the mountains. Okay. And the ark and stuff like that was covered. Like, whatever. It's not even that deep. Okay. Well, that's allegedly what they say. Okay. Well, mountains are very high. Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah, it was deep, allegedly. All right. So, and all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of the fowl and of the cattle and of the beast and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. So they killed off the old version of the albino. All of them are gone, allegedly. That's it. We're starting over, right? All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died. So here's God, the ultimate murderer, killing off everything that God had created, in the story from the beginning, chapter 1 of Genesis through chapter 6. Everything that was created, everyone that was created, now gone. They're not good enough, not worthy enough to move on and to become conquerors of, the world. They were not good enough, so allegedly this God has started something. So symbolically, you're looking at the numerology of the numbers. 2, 7, 9. The adding of those numbers equals 9. It's a completion. So there's a beginning, or there's an ending rather, and then something beginning. All right, so there's an end of the old, people that were on the earth, allegedly, and then there's going to be a beginning. All right, that's going to start a new generation, a new, race that's coming, a new conqueror, a new rulership. And the waters are symbolic of the flood. They said the flood is symbolic. They said it covered the whole world, and the ark rose above the earth. So this ark is symbolically telling you that the people that are inside of it, are the ones who will be ordained to become the new rulers of this world, This is how the mindset of the author is setting up and developing this story. Okay. And we're going to see as we progress in this story of Genesis, you're going to see the difference of the characters shifting, and you're going to notice the different races, and the different races that are established and geographically where they're located. All right. So historically, you're going to start seeing. So the flood is symbolic of change that is occurring, death or the end of one thing, and then the beginning of another is about to happen. It's about to occur. All right. And then the ark is symbolic of that, new regime that is coming. That one family that's in there. This is the new head. This is the new beginning. This is a new with them starting over. It rose above the earth. They are, powerful and all this, that, and the third, greater than anybody within the earth. All right. So this is what the author is trying to convey to the reader of this story. If you think deeper, there's an understanding. If you think and understand deeper, history, science, about numerology, you understand astrology, all of these different things that are occurring, you can put it all together and gain an understanding and know, what they're talking about is deeper than what you're seeing on the surface of the text. The surface of the text is telling you, oh, it's waters, it's a flood, and everything is going out. But you got to understand, you got to read between the lines. Read between the lines and understand what they're truly saying, what they really truly mean. All right. And what the truly meaning is the new rulership that is coming. That family that's in that ark is the new conquerors of the earth. All right. They're going to be the ones that are dominating and control and everything like that. It starts with their lineage. It starts with them. OK. And then that God who allowed this family to be saved and protected in that ark is giving them authority to go forward. All right. So there's going to be some type of an agreement that's going to occur. We're going to read about that agreement a little bit later in the next couple of chapters. All right. All right. So verse 23, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. You heard that? And Noah was the only one that remained alive, and they that were in the ark. So they're establishing the new regime, the new king, the new powers that be. All right. So last verse, and the waters prevailed upon the earth in 150 days. So it was on the earth allegedly for 150 days. And my question is, how did they sustain themselves that long with all the animals allegedly on that boat? And how did those animals get there? So it's far-fetched to believe. So it's a fantasy. It's a dream. It's not possible. Okay, this is not a real story. You got to look at the metaphor. You got to look at the symbology. You got to understand it's all allegory. All right. Even the scripture will tell you it's all allegory. And I'm going to read that scripture to you. So it's an allegory to tell you something deeper. OK, it's meant for you to understand something different. They're not giving you the correct meaning with the words that are written. All right. The author did not mean for that to happen, but he coded it to be deciphered by his Masonic brothers. OK, who were meant to rule the world, who had conquest on their mind. And they want to control the world, So these white European Masons, and they wanted to control the world. They wanted to conquer the world. And they had these conquerors that came with them. And they were all in cahoots together, with the deals and everything like that. The Mason was supposed to be the keeper of the knowledge and the keeper of the keep going and keeping the people in power and all this, that, and the third, the secrets and all of that, from generation to generation to generation. That's their role and responsibility. So it was meant for you to be, as the common man and woman, to not understand this. Okay? You were not meant to understand this, but you had to understand that your mind that God gave you when you were born is that of rational. You can reason, you can understand, you can read. You got to be able to read, understand, study outside of this book, study other things outside of this book to be able to connect the dots, to complete the puzzle, so to speak, because this is a mystery. All right. So you have to have other sources that you have to read. True history, science, astrology, you know what I'm saying? All of those different things, spirituality, you know what I'm saying? All of those different things are tied into this book. Like I told you, they put bits and pieces of everything in this book. This book is a concoction of everything. They put a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like gumbo. The Bible is like gumbo. They put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and everything, to make it sound familiar to the reader. The reader will listen and hear certain things that they think sound familiar to them that they may have heard, and then they will buy in and accept it. Like, oh, that's true then. That part, yeah, that's true. So now, once they buy in, they accept it, they got you. You're hooked. You're indoctrinated now. You're going to do anything for the religion. You're going to do whatever you need to do. You're going to change your whole life, your whole thought process. Everything you think about is going to be the religion first. You're not even going to question the religion. And then you're not even going to question who's giving you the religion, who introduced it to you. And you're not even going to question those who the characters of the story, look like. So say, for instance, the characters of the stories are white Europeans. In your subconscious mind, you're never going to question what a white European does, even if they do some of the most evil and wicked and heinous things. Murder, rape, destroy, kill, steal. You will make excuses for them. You will forgive them. Because why? That's what this religion tells you to do. Even though they were wrong. They were wrong to do that. And you will overlook it. Because this religion tells you to do that. That's what they wanted, and that's what they got. And that's how we act today in the year 2022. All the way from 332 BCE. Hellenization has been going on thousands, centuries. They've been doing this for centuries, okay? They perfected it now. Churches are everywhere. You look at every street corner has at least 7 to 9, 15 churches on each block. It's a lot of churches all over, everywhere. You just drive down your street or drive around your neighborhood. You can count how many churches you can find. You're going to find at least about 7 to 10 churches, okay, in your neighborhood. That's in your neighborhood, nearby, within a 2-mile radius, okay? So, and it doesn't matter the denomination because they all derive from this. This is the main source, okay? So you're talking about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. All derive and come from this main source, the King James Version, right? Which is the Bible, which is written, Greeks and the Romans. And then the English took it and they started their conquest. All right. So with that being said, man, this is, knowledge is being born. All right. Knowledge has been reborn. All right. And this has been another Maarifa moment. And, like I said, man, the more you know, the more you'll grow and the better off we all shall be. So until next time, I'll say love and light. Peace.